We are here, doing another Movie Dweeb podcast.
Nice.
And I feel like death.
I'm quite tired.
I'm tired.
Very tired.
I'm hungover to hell. I'm sweaty. Most podcasts I start like, do. It's this guy. I'm like, whatever. At this point, I don't care.
It's going to be one of those.
We're ticking boxes at this point. Just get it over and done with. Next week's will be so much better.
Why are you so tired?
Me and my buddy Nathan, who is here now, the other voice.
Yeah, hi. Well, thank you for having me on this podcast. And I'm jointly as tired as you are.
We did the Pulp Kitchen pub quiz yesterday, didn't we?
Lots of fun. Very nice.
Yeah, lots of drinks.
Lots of drinks, lots of good film questions, which is what you want in a film quiz.
And lots of stuffed mushrooms. I bought so many.
I think I actually gave you the menu. I was like, oh, just get a couple, just get some nachos. And then the waiter came over 20 minutes later and had probably 6 huge dishes of every fried variety of food I think I've ever seen in my life. I didn't even know that drinks could be deep fried. Somehow that happened.
But I'm just like sweating out like mushroom grease. I feel disgusting right now.
Yeah, it's grim.
We absolutely fucking smashed it.
I mean, I'm going to have to tell your listeners here, we won.
We
won the Pulp Kitchen podcast film quiz.
With 30 teams.
We're in Soho. Go through an O'Neill's. There are other pubs available.
And we were with Henry Calvert.
Yeah, Mr. Marvel himself.
Thank God he was there, because sometimes it was like, how many hairs does Thor have in his eyebrows? I know. I thought, like, going to this quiz, I'm like, look, they do a podcast, have their TikToks, that sort of thing. So, like, they have to be accessible to the people. So I'm expecting stuff like, how many years does Shrek have? But all of a sudden it was like, in Jurassic World Dominion, what percentage of the film are Owen Grady's teeth on show? I'm like, what?
Incredibly in depth, to the point where afterwards we were talking to the two guys about, like, they were kind of asking for feedback and saying, like, did you think the rounds were too hard, too easy and stuff? But I guess, like, if you're all there for a film quiz and you know what the film quiz is about, you've got up the ante a little bit. It's got to be a bit trickier for the punters.
You were very good. You knew, like, cult classics. You knew, like, good cinema. I got one question about fucking Finding Nemo. I was like puffing on my cigar. Like,
and what was the question that you got correct?
what was the number on the pair of goggles that Dory recites? So P. Sherman, Wallaby Way, Sydney.
And the number was
42.
It's a very, very good answer.
Well, it's the correct answer.
But I think it's just one of those answers that I don't think many people would know except you.
Yeah, it's sad, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, how old are you now?
Well, that's it. Thanks for coming. I'm not even taking offence. I just want to leave because I'm so hot and hungover.
Hey, we had a cash prize.
Yeah.
We got to take away 200 big ones.
Split between 4.
Yeah, it covered my train fare back home.
Then we bought some drinks afterwards, so we've got about £8.12 each.
Yeah, exactly.
We all answered an equal amount, I'd say.
Yeah.
But some answered more equal than others. I sort of won the £200 for us.
So what happened was the last 2 teams, it was a tiebreaker. So I think our team and another team probably got like 45 points each. And there was that moment where no one actually knew what was going to happen because we didn't know what the last thing was. It's a tiebreaker question. We're going to need 2 people, one from each team, to come up on the stage and answer a tiebreaker question. They came all the way up. This woman came up very confidently. After much deliberation, we realised that you'd lived a lot of years, so you might have the vastest knowledge.
What?
Plus, you also watch movies, right?
Yes.
So you've gone up there, and the question was a good one. I'll reenact it right now for you. The man said, okay, I want the first person to shout an answer that was a Daniel Radcliffe movie, but that isn't a Harry Potter flick. And you said...
I just cool, calm, collectively went, yeah, probably Swiss Army Man, right? Give us some money. Cheers, bruv.
And now let's say exactly how it happened.
I went, yeah! Swiss Army Man!
The other woman was paralysed to speak. I think she had an answer, but you just went, Swiss Army Man.
She did his entire, like, URL for his IMDb. Just screamed over her. I just thought, if she doesn't get a chance to go near the mic... Yeah. That 200 quid's mine.
What you didn't realise, she actually said 4 answers that were all correct, but you were just making a noise that only some animals can make until you remembered Swiss Army Man.
There was dogs and cattle in the nearby area. Like, what? Someone's in trouble?
Oh, I like that movie by Daniel Radcliffe.
But, you know, it got us the goods.
And now I feel like I know another Daniel Radcliffe movie that I have to watch.
Have you not seen Swiss Army Man?
Again.
Thanks for making the conversation flow a bit.
Yeah.
It's what we do here. We lie about films.
I forgot this is a podcast, not me just trying to catch you out on things. There's actually got to be some form of conversation.
Go on, try and catch me out on something. Let's just see how it goes.
Okay. In Finding Nemo, we'll stay on brand. What is the species of the teacher in Finding Nemo?
I mean, he's Mr. Ray. He's a manta ray.
And what's the song he sings?
Oh, let's see the let's see the dirt of the deep blue sea. What is it? Zones?
Let's do the zones. Oh no, it's got to be that.
Oh,
the deep blue sea. Oh, there's
we've got an hour of this.
Still
We
hungover.
can't leave until we finish it. Oh, that's the same noise I made for Daniel Radcliffe. Remember Daniel Radcliffe film? Oh, Swiss Army Man. I embodied Mr. Ray.
Oh god, it's too hot in here. So I was actually very surprised that there are some of the questions you answered were like real deep knowledge that I completely didn't expect you to know.
The movie dweeb.
Yeah, there was like one about a director. I think you got all the director questions. And it realised that maybe this podcast isn't a load of bullshit and you actually do know about movies.
I'm going to catch you out now.
Oh.
In Finding Nemo. What sea are they in?
The deep blue sea?
No! You win! You have all rights to the movie dweeb now.
Oh,
this is your
fantastic.
podcast. Interview me. Go.
Okay, so I want to know what the first movie you actually remember watching was when you were growing up. Yeah, I feel like, so obviously for people who know the movie dweeb, they know that you interviewed some of the biggest stars in the world. Yeah, I know. It's very, very impressive. And your interview technique is probably one of the best in the world. I think there's no one on the circuit who can actually kind of get on and do... It will make a actor feel so comfortable so quickly, and you're so good at that. And I think that's why people who know your videos absolutely love them, and more people should know them.
I want to light some candles. I want to put some Barry White on. This is lovely.
Okay, so I want to know, what was the first movie that you remember, maybe like from when you were growing up, where actually, oh, you know what, like I could probably watch movies the rest of my life and never get bored, because there are some people who don't like movies, which is obviously bizarre.
So, the first one I remember watching, I think, is Toy Story. Like, I remember watching that, remember loving that. But like, I wanted to be an actor like when I was younger.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really wanted to be an actor. Like, as if I'd want to be centre of attention. And I remember my mum being like, "Okay, so you have to watch like the great actors if you want to be that. Like, you can't just keep watching like Kangaroo Jack all your life."
Yeah.
Which, by the way, great film. I watched a lot of Whoopi Goldberg. I became obsessed with Whoopi Goldberg when I was younger.
Yeah.
Like Sister Act,
yeah,
Jumping Jack Flash, Ghost, I used to be obsessed with.
That's quite cute though, and she was great in Toy Story as the dinosaur, right?
Little fun fact for you.
Oh, what?
She is in Toy Story 3.
You're kidding me.
She plays Stretch, the purple octopus.
See, it was written in the stars, and I know that you have also interviewed Tim Allen.
Tim Allen of Buzz Lightyear fame. Well, now I just need Tom Hanks to tick it off.
Last one, yeah.
Have you got a Tom Hanks in you? And I can just pretend?
No, I think Tom Hanks has got to be one of the hardest people to impersonate, but he has got such a distinctive voice.
I can only do one line.
Yeah.
Well, son. That's good, isn't it? When he sees him bobbing away, and he's like, well, son.
Yeah. I like when you watch like him on like Graham Norton, he's another interviewer, Dan, who's very much like you, Graham Norton.
I just blanked them out.
Okay, yeah. So others exist apart from you. So like Tom Hanks would be on like Graham Norton, and I try and like copy the mannerisms of when they like, oh, can you do the voice?
Yeah.
And then he does a little bit. And I remember it was always like, Woody is always like, oh my God, he's up here all the time. And
Yeah.
You've got to kind of like, I know you're going to ask me to do impressions. But,
Yeah, obviously.
But like, you got to have like one little mannerism or just one thing that like ticks the box of like gets you into the character. And I'm really good. I always like looking at other people's impressions. And I'm like, oh, I can do their impression.
Yeah,
of an impression.
copy an impression of an impression.
Yeah.
To do my Woody now, I'd copy you.
Go on then.
Taking my boot. See?
sorry,
And that's how it gets.
It was bad.
All I've done this whole podcast is just scream.
And get redder and redder as we've gone along.
Go on then, what was the first time you was like, you know what, I love movies?
Yeah, like I guess weirdly, like even as a young kid, I think I loved going to the supermarket. So I don't know about you. I used to go to the supermarket and buy DVDs.
Oh, right. I thought you confused the cinema with supermarkets.
Just love the fruit and veg section, man. Just so good. No, I'd go to the supermarket and we'd always go for like a family kind of food shop, and then at the end of it, my treat would be go and pick one. So I'd obviously just go and pick any DVD. Usually it was like the biggest movie of all time, but then you kind of like after a week or two, you bought all the ones you really wanted, and then you just start picking up random ones. Yeah. And I remember picking up like Pan's Labyrinth, which probably wasn't the first movie I seen, but one where I was like, oh, this is so different to what I'm used to. And it was obviously in a completely different language, so you start kind of really having to concentrate on the movie. And I just remember watching it thinking, like, from the front cover, it was obviously like this huge, incredible creature, and then there's like a small girl in it as well, and you're like, this is going to be like a fantasy craziness. And then all of a sudden you watch it and it's just all about like think it's like the Spanish Civil War, one of the wars are going on. It's really brutal.
Yeah.
Like, it's a brutal movie. And I was like, this is my Toy Story.
Who's Whoopi Goldberg in that?
I think the Pale Man, the one that does that. I believe so. Just there. But no, yeah. So it was, I think that was one where I was like, oh, like, movies aren't just entertainment. There's like story and character development and like whimsical, crazy characters. And it just like opened up that whole subsection of kind of movies. And then I've always loved Christopher Nolan movies. Naturally, like, I'm watching Memento, and then off the back of Nolan movies, you kind of find actors you like. And I like Christian Bale movies. Then you just start watching like The Machinist, where he like lost all that weight and did that movie. And then you kind of follow your favorite actors into their little worlds. And what I really like is when you find an actor who's got such a huge catalogue of big movies, but then all of a sudden you find like ones they did when they were younger and they just weren't as well known maybe, and you're like, oh, I actually like that movie just as much, and you could see how good they were, but they just maybe didn't have like the budget of the big movies, which is always kind of cool.
I went through a wormhole of Robin Williams films. Have you ever seen 1 Hour Photo?
Yeah, I have.
I loved him in that film. What a great creepy film. He's like a really good creep.
Yeah, I mean, you only need to look at like Good Will Hunting as well, which obviously is like a gorgeous movie, and although he has like funny parts in it, like, you know, Dead Poet Society, there's so many good movies that he's in. He's in that, right?
Yeah.
Good Lord, I was like, you looked at me like, no, that's another one.
That was Whoopi Goldberg.
She does everything.
She's great.
Yeah. So no, I think it's I love seeing it. I love seeing them in different places where you're like not just doing the same thing over and over again, and they actually challenge themselves, because 9 times out of 10 they are very, very good at it. Yeah. You know, and I think Robin Williams probably was the best at that.
Well, speaking of doing the same thing over and over again, Robert Downey Jr.
Yes, the big news.
back as Doctor Doom.
Yeah. So what movie is he in?
He is going to be in the next 2 Avengers films, which was going to be Kang Dynasty, but I don't know how I feel about this.
Yeah.
Obviously, The Return of the King, like the one that started the whole thing off. When he took the mask off, I was like, oh my God, like what? But then it sunk in, I was like, oh my God, what?
Yeah, and I'm kind of on the same wavelength as you. I think it's gonna be really hard, and they're gonna have to do something creatively about it to just detach him in that world as not being Tony Stark, because it's like the most recognizable, if not the most important character that they made him to be in that entire franchise.
To me, bringing him back just makes you go, oh, what Tony Stark did in Endgame or whatever. Don't really matter. Like, if anyone goes, because also, like, you look at, well, Wolverine. He's back in Deadpool. Like, Logan is one of the best superhero movies of all time. Kill him off in that. And then, oh, by the way, he's back now.
Yeah, like, the multiverse does change the stakes of movies massively now, because you do think, like, if they die, they'll be back. It's fine. Which is really, it kind of like, it like lowers the stakes of the whole movie, and maybe the deaths aren't as shocking at the end of it, because you're like, I'll see him in the next one anyway. Yeah. But I think even just the fact that, like, I mean, I'm not massively versed in the actual comic books, and like I'm sure there's some comic book ultra fans out there who will know that actually, like, Doctor Doom and Iron Man probably have got some kind of link that I'm just not sure about. But I feel like 90% of the audience is going to see those movies probably don't know that, right? Yeah. So all of a sudden, when you get Robert Downey Jr. coming out into an Avengers movie, and they're like, oh, Iron Man series, like, why is he wearing a green hood? And hang on, wait, what do you mean Victor Doom? Who is this person? And I think that's gonna be really interesting to see how Marvel try and like navigate the waters of like, it's Robert Downey Jr. as not the most iconic character he's ever played in his career.
And I'm not ready for 2.5 hours of Tom Holland being like, Mr. Stark. He's like, nope, it's not me.
Is that
what?
You? He's the baddie, like. Doom's the bad guy, right?
Well, he is now what Thanos was in Endgame and Infinity War. He is now the big baddie of the...
Yeah, that's really crazy. Because I remember him from the original, my original Fantastic Four, which is obviously the one with Jessica Alba and whatnot.
God, we're old.
And he was definitely the bad guy in that movie. So I don't know how they're going to do it in this one.
A lot of people are saying, like, well, he's going to keep the mask on the whole time. Like, that's Doom's thing. He has the mask. And I'm like, well, don't get Robert Downey Jr. then. Like,
don't cost the most expensive actor in Hollywood.
Apparently, he's getting more money for this than the entire budget of Oppenheimer.
Really?
I mean, I read that on Twitter, the source of all good, valuable news.
That's just Christopher Nolan not using CGI, though, isn't it? He's like, we could do a spaceship blowing up, or I've got a peach. We'll put it in the dark, and we'll get a little camera and pretend that it's the planet or whatever, you know.
I don't think you've ever seen one of these films.
It's supermarket themed.
Are you hungry, bud?
Massively.
Where's Cillian Murphy? Like, everyone wanted Cillian Murphy to do it, and I'm just like, throw enough money at him, he'll do it.
And I think it kind of shows the state of the fact that studio are obviously like clamoring a little bit here, right? Let's be
They
honest.
want bums in seats.
Yeah, they want people to come and watch it, and like they're struggling with a few movies, I'm sure. But I always kind of go back to the fact that, like, well, when they launched the first Iron Man, like, no one knew if that was going to be a huge hit or if he was going to be amazing in it. So, like, why not give another actor a chance to be like, oh my God, that guy is incredible as Doom, as opposed to being like, let's get the most popular. Like, it's like, it feels a bit cheap in a weird way. I mean, it's the most expensive way of being cheap, but like, it's just like, I don't know. It's like, it doesn't do anything for me, really.
Yeah.
But like, I'll go watch it for sure.
I mean, it is interesting, isn't it? Because like Jonathan Majors, like I don't think he was massively famous before Kang. No. I think Kang, like Loki, really made him what he was, and then he did like Creed 2 or whatever it was. Ralph playing Galactus in Fantastic Four, like obviously he was in The Office, and he's done like huge films like The Creator and that, but he's not like
superstar.
He's not like George Clooney or something. So I'm like, obviously some directors are going, who's a brilliant actor that would fit this role?
Yeah.
And especially with the Russo brothers also directing it, I'm like, are we just getting Endgame? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, at what point do they go, Scarlett Johansson, what are you up to? Do you fancy playing someone else?
Just recycling the same actors, but in like other iconic roles. Yeah. I just don't understand it. I just don't know why you'd pigeonhole yourself into that weird scenario where like two of your main biggest characters in the entire universe are played by the same dude.
Yeah.
I can't wait for us in about 3 years' time or whenever these movies are coming out to look back and be like, that was amazing, actually. Yeah. They really smashed that, and we didn't know what we were talking about the whole time.
I will delete this immediately.
The whole podcast gone.
Should we do the exact same thing, but be like, it's a really good idea, just so that we've got one or the other?
So, recently, Robert Downey Jr. is...
I hate it! Boo! I feel so sorry for the people outside there who are like actually just like sending emails.
It's a big week for Marvel in general, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because there's been another big movie that's been out and made a big ripple across the multiverse.
I hate everything about that. Deadpool and Wolverine.
Did you like it? What's your initial thoughts?
Well, I think it's hard because I watch it with one of my mates at 10 a.m. on a Sunday because he's just had 2 kids. We just had a newborn baby. So he's like, this is the only time I've got, let's go. Yeah. So at 10 a.m. I was already like, oh, fuck this.
I love that you think that's early.
Look at me. Look at me. Do you think I'm a get up and go getter? And so we went to it and like, I'm tired. I can't be arsed with this shit. But as soon as it started, I was like, oh, mate. Like, the NSYNC Bye 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 dance stuff is so funny. Like, it was visually very cool. Yeah. I'd say some of the jokes I felt were a bit, like, isolating. Okay. Not for, like, me and you, because obviously we've known about all, like, Disney acquiring Fox and, like, the fan casting and all this sort of stuff. Like, I think we're well aware of that. But I think for an everyday person, I couldn't take Alex, my fiancée.
Yeah.
She'd divorce me. I think she wants any excuse. Any excuse. I didn't really like that film. We're over. Well, that doesn't seem fair.
I know what you mean, but I guess it's like when I went and saw it, I mean, this is my experience. It was such a big fan service to me in my entire like childhood because, I mean, obviously there are people who will understand all of the kind of like ins and outs of all the studios and whatnot, and there were so many things like there were characters in there that I forgot existed, and then I was like, oh my god, that's the same actor, isn't it? And you see them pop up, and like it's out now, so we can talk about the characters in particular. But like that was like a moment where I was like, this is awesome, and this is my MCU. Like, you know, I do love all the Avengers movies and the kind of the Iron Mans and whatnot. But like that wasn't my introduction into Marvel and comic book movies. Mine was the X-Men movies, and it was like the Fantastic Four movies and like Ghost Rider with Nicolas Cage, like these random like comic book movies that all of a sudden you were like, hang on, these are these weird characters who live in New York, and like the original Spider-Man as well, like the Tobey ones. Like that was my whole world. So to see characters from the studio that released these popping up in a movie where Chris Evans is there too, or like Thor is crying or whatever, you're like, oh, this is so cool. It's like they're actually bringing it all together, and I thought that was awesome.
I think if this was the first time it happened, I'd have flipped the table. I'd have taken a table with me to the cinema just to flip it. Yeah. No Way Home. We get Toby and Andrew. Yeah. And I'm like, whoa, this is cool. They're bringing them different. And then Multiverse of Madness, you get Patrick Stewart coming like, oh, okay. And then in this, you get like, I'm just getting so bored of the multiverse, and then bringing in old characters, or even to a lesser extent, I enjoy this more, but like Channing Tatum as Gambit or John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, I enjoy that because that is all the fans want. Like, and I get it, but even then I'm like, when does it just stop becoming almost like tokenistic and just being like, oh, you guys want to see Whoopi Goldberg as She-Hulk. Well, yeah, okay, we'll put her in for 10 minutes.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But what I would say was like before that movie, it kind of felt like a definitive end for that kind of thing. Like, I don't know about you, but obviously in the credits you kind of saw the behind the scenes stuff, and it was funny because as much as like they bashed the whole Fox thing throughout the entire movie, like, you know, fuck you Fox, I'm going to Disneyland or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I was like, it was very, very funny. But then in my head I was like, I actually loved those movies when I
Oh
was
God,
a kid.
yeah.
Like, I really don't like. I actually thought they were really cool, and I liked Toad, and I liked Sabretooth, like these characters where I'm like,
Why did you pick them? Cyclops is there waiting to be bit. I like the boy with the big tongue.
no, we're not going there. We're not going there. But I liked that. So like seeing the kind of little like the montage at the end and stuff, I thought that was really sweet, and I was like, this is really cute, and I did putting it to like, this is the time of your life, or that song is as well. Like, I thought that was really cool.
I mean, it's a great nod because like no one has done more for, well, maybe Robert Downey Jr. But no one's done more for the superhero genre than Hugh Jackman.
Yeah,
I think so. It was very nice and that sort of thing. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I loved it. I'd give it like a firm 7 out of 10.
Oh really? Yeah. So I'd go higher. I'd go like almost like a 9.
Wow.
Yeah, which I know is really high, like 9 for what it is, right? So as a comic book movie, I'd give it a 9. And I think, and going back to the characters, what I really loved about Deadpool and Wolverine was like the characters they chose to come back weren't the Patrick Stewarts or the Spider-Mans. It was those little weird characters where you're like trying to place them. I was like, oh my God, like Elektra. Yeah, Elektra was like in the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie and then had her own movie and then she's just there. And I thought that was just so awesome. And I think we should talk about the Channing Tatum one in particular. Can you explain to me exactly what this whole thing is about?
Well, I think Deadpool and Wolverine probably handled these cameos the best because they can be self-referential and they can take the piss out of it. But for donkeys, Channing Tatum has wanted to play Gambit. Like, he's been petitioning to play Gambit. People have been fan casting, drawing him as Gambit. I'm guessing he went for Gambit because he's like, no one else wants that. Yeah. Like, so I'm probably going to get it.
It's quite a cool character.
But everyone wants to be a Wolverine and a Cyclops. Fair. And he's gone, I'll be that geezer with purple throwing cards. Yeah. He's been wanting to do it for ages. And there was rumours of him having his own standalone movie in the MCU and that sort of thing. And it all just sort of fizzled out. So I guess like this is just a great moment for him to be like, again, it's like the John Krasinski thing, like, oh my God, the thing that we wanted is happening. But what I love about it, like, so Gambit is like Cajun. Yeah. And, you know, he's obviously got an accent. But Channing in it was so like shit.
At the accent.
Yeah. But that's what I kind of love about it, that they've gone, no, you're going to have your moment, but you're just going to be dreadful at it. And that's the whole joke.
Yeah, that was so true, actually. Yeah, like he wasn't like the coolest, perfect, most Gambit. Like he had a cool couple bits though when he like threw the cards at each of them and was like boom. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's so awesome. But then it flips to him doing the accent and you're just like, that's hilarious. And like good on him for like being like, let's do it like that way. Like, I think it's great.
If that is his dream to play Gambit, like you've got the chance at in probably one of the most watched Marvel films that there is.
Yeah.
I would say. Well, I'm not going to tell you where I'd rank it in my cameos of the film because I want us to do.
Okay, I'm down to
hash it out. We're gonna rank our favourite cameos from worst to best.
Okay.
And as you said, we're allowed to do it now. It's been a week. Like, get over it.
Yeah, I mean there'll be spoilers. Okay.
Bruce Willis was dead in Sixth Sense. The Titanic sank. I've made a list. What I'll do.
Yes.
I've ranked mine from worst to best. I'm just gonna say the name and you tell me where they go in. If we match where they are. There has to be a forfeit. What do you want the forfeit to be?
You have to down this entire bottle of water that's been here for a whole year.
In here, as soon as I uncork it, it will turn steam. So I'm going to start off. Where are you ranking? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Where are you ranking Elektra?
Okay. So I think I'm going to have a little think here. So I believe I'd place Elektra. In terms of 8 being worst?
Let's put 8 at worst.
8 at worst. I'm going to put her as a 7, actually, because I'm not the biggest fan of that character.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I put her at number 5. Because I just thought, it's as you said, it's cool to see. Yeah. Like, I remember watching that film, and it was a nice, cool one to see. I was never into Elektra, but again, it's cool that Jennifer Garner's now just in a huge, huge Marvel movie.
Yeah, so awesome.
But number 7.
Still number 7 for me. Yeah, I feel like I'm going to be able to bring this back.
Let's do X-23, Daphne Keane.
So, believe it or not, I'm actually not a huge fan of the film Logan. I know, it's not... I just don't. I don't enjoy watching that movie much. Like,
wow.
I think I've only seen it like twice maybe, and like I love Hugh Jackman as an actor. And I really like Wolverine, and I know that people absolutely adore that movie so much, but it just didn't do much for me. Like, I didn't really care so much about the relationship between the two actors, and it was just like, because like Wolverine to me was like the other 13 movies that he was in without X-23 in it, and then all of a sudden it's like we're supposed to feel care so much about this new character. And I'm like, I don't really care, but I like. So I'm actually gonna put her at 6.
Okay.
Because I think it's better than Elektra, because it also served the purpose of the bringing Wolverine back into the fold, like in the big showdown and stuff. Like, and I think that was a really cool vehicle for like getting him back into it, and it obviously did a huge service for a lot of people who do love Logan. Yeah. Everyone else in the world but me, apparently.
I put her in at number 6, so we've already lost the forfeits there. Good. Let's go. Blade. Similar vein to Elektra.
Big fan of Blade. Yeah. So Blade's got to come in for me at like number 3.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, I'm a massive Blade fan. I love those movies. I think I remember like the first time I saw that, I was like super young, and seeing him come into a disco and turn it into like a bloodbath. I was like, what is this movie? This is incredible.
It's cool when he does it. You've done it so many times. Yeah. It's awful.
They don't like that.
Awful.
No one likes it.
No. So we don't go out anymore.
Yeah, I'm never number 3 when that happens. They're like out the door, number 8 on every tier list. No, so
except for Most Wanted, number 1 on that.
Number 1 on that. He's number 3. Blade's an awesome character, and also he's one that like no one else has really done since he did it. So to my knowledge, at least, like, so seeing him back, and I was like, that's the only Blade I know. Yeah. And it's Wesley Snipes. He looked older, which is kind of, it's just kind of sweet seeing him still do it, even though like back in the day he was like a lot more butch and cooler, and he's like, you see, he's like aged and stuff, but. Yeah. I thought that was great. So he is like right up there for me as number 3.
Also, Mahershala Ali is now next to play Blade.
That's awesome.
Which we probably will be dead before it comes out. Like, it's been pushed back a long time.
He's going to have to do a Channing Tatum, isn't he? Just do it as a joke.
Just come in, hello, I am Blade. Let's go for one of the big guns. Let's go for our boy Channing.
So I think I know I'll put number 1. So Channing's number 2.
Yep, same for me, number 2.
Number 2 for me. Like, for what we've already spoken about on the podcast, I think it's still, just to kind of summarize it, I love Gambit as a character. I remember playing all the Marvel games where it's like a Lego Marvel one. I'd always choose Gambit because obviously he had like the purple cards, and you can like kill loads of the bad guys quickly. Yeah. And also, like, if you actually look at the comic book art, he looks so badass. Like, actually, I think it looks really cool, and it's almost a bit of a weird like 80s vibe to him, and just the fact that he's like purple. And there's not many other purple like superheroes, and that's like cool, right? It's just like Mace Windu's lightsaber. It's just like purple's cool. Yeah, purple's different. Prince, he's pretty cool.
Who's that big geezer from McDonald's? Grimace. Yeah.
Not so cool, but milkshakes are cool.
Thank God. I was like, don't you dare insult those. I live off those.
He's definitely number 2 for me. How about you?
Yeah, I put him in at number 2. We're really in sync, aren't we?
Simpatico.
We're the best friends.
We're pretty good.
Blake Lively.
So I'm actually going to put Blake Lively's. If we're talking about just the film and not reading up about the film after, I actually put that as an 8.
Exactly where I put it.
Yeah, I think like it's very sweet that Ryan Reynolds and his wife are in the movie together, and that's awesome. And Blake Lively's obviously a great actress, but like she doesn't actually do much in it. No. Like, she just turns up. You don't even know it's her. It could be any blonde woman.
It's definitely not her in the suit.
Oh, really?
I bet you she just did 2 lines of voiceover.
Yeah, and that's so true, actually. Yeah. So like, I don't think it was like really that great. It was just like, and also I wasn't too keen on the actual scene. I think the fighting out of it was quite cool.
It looked cool,
but the whole bit before it was like, I'm head Paul, and I'm this Paul, and I'm baby Paul, and I'm Welsh Paul, and I was okay, can we just like try and kill them all now and see what happens? Yeah. And then when that happened, I was like, that is funny. Well, it might be another character coming up in the game, but yeah, I liked the maskless Ryan Reynolds.
Nicepool.
Nicepool. I thought that was very funny.
I think, not to tell Marvel, who have made billions how to do their job, but I was like, I feel that should have been Ryan Gosling, just because it's like everyone confuses the two of them together.
Would have been so funny.
Like, he's the better Ryan.
Yeah.
So now make Nicepool the better.
That's such a good idea. They should have had Ryan Gosling turn up as Nicepool.
Yeah.
Because like, also it's got very Kennedy vibes to that character as well. True. So it would have been like, just that entire Barbie fandom would be like, oh, he's also in this.
He's in his fun era. Yeah. Do you know, he's done the Fall Guy.
That's an absolute missed opportunity, isn't it? Yeah. Although it probably would have been like another 20 million on the budget. So
Which I'm sure Marvel can't afford,
they
unfortunately.
can't afford that. So yeah.
But I was thinking about Blake's cameo as well. And I was like, I thought there was going to be so much more to it. Because like, obviously in the trailers, we saw Ladypool. And I was like, I mean, everyone was like, it's either going to be Taylor Swift or Blake Lively. And I thought it's going to be more to her than just being like, hey, Deadpool.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
What I thought the best bit could have been, she comes out and like Ryan's like looking at the camera like, no one knows who this is going to be, do they? Wink, wink.
Yeah.
And like she comes off, takes off her mask, it's Blake Lively. He's like, what? Oh my God, I cannot believe that happened. And then like maybe like majestic music, it cuts. And then she's like,
You were the director of this movie.
like his wife, like she's
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And I was thinking like what she should have done then, like completely break the fourth wall and be like, Ryan, mate, like the kids haven't seen you in two and a half years. You
So-
need to wrap this film up. And he's just like pulling the script up, like your line is say like, hey,
Yeah.
Deadpool.
Oh, that's
And then
so
she's like,
good.
the only way I could get to you is if I wore this fucking suit.
Yeah.
Come on this fucking film. Now come back and see your kids, otherwise it's a divorce. And he's like,
Wolverine's line's next night.
yeah. And she's like, oh, fuck this. So, like, my lawyers will call your lawyers, and like walks off or something like that. I was like, you could have done so much more with it.
self-referential,
Yeah.
Really good.
Like, really break the fourth wall
Yeah.
with it.
Send this clip to Marvel because I feel like you could be on the script writing team next year. That is really good.
And they come back and go, were you the one that said you hated Robert Downey Jr. as Doom?
And your guest doesn't like Logan? Oh, sorry about that.
In the same scene,
Mm.
Matthew McConaughey, all right.
Oh, damn. You see, like, that's a shame because if I'd have known you were going to, this is the game, but if I'd have known you'd have done that, I'd have put that really low down.
Yeah.
To the point because, like, I left the movie and didn't even realise he was in it.
Weird, isn't it?
Like, but I like didn't even know. So I guess I'm putting in what, fifth?
You've got fifth is your lowest one so far, yeah.
So fifth. So I didn't even know it was him because I was just like, there's so much going on in that scene, and it's just like there's a billion Deadpools, and then I'm guessing he was the one with the cowboy hat. Then.
Yes, yeah.
And it was only until we were talking about it, and you were like, "Oh yeah, like Matthew McConaughey's in it," and I was like, "Which character is he playing?" It's like, "Oh, he's like the cowboy Paul or whatever." I was like, I didn't even realize it, and for that, I'm ashamed that he's not 8th on my list. But yeah, why did you? Where have you put him?
I put him 7.
Yeah,
I put him above Blake just because Blake's was hyped up. Like, she was like the face of all of the Deadpools coming out of the big...
in the trailer,
That I was expecting more. Whereas Matthew's like, oh, you know, fine.
fun.
But I thought that only works if every Deadpool you've got is a huge Oscar winner.
Sure.
Like,
yeah,
if
yeah.
Eddie Murphy was one of them, if Meryl Streep was one of them, like, and then you just go, oh, by the way, like, I've just got all of my mates
Yeah,
to just be Deadpools, and they've got one line each.
it's kind of like in Star Wars when like they're stormtroopers, right?
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing where you're
Yeah.
like, oh, you're a stormtrooper. I didn't realize that, you know, like Simon Pegg's a stormtrooper in one of them.
Yeah.
Don't even see it. It's just is.
Well, Rob McElhenney was a member of the TVA agency, but had a helmet on.
Oh yeah.
So you just don't even know he's in it.
No, and I saw one of the Wrexham players. Paul Mullen was Welsh Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is like a nice nod to their team,
Yeah.
but like you know, it's sweet, but it's like doesn't add much.
So now we got 2 left.
Yeah,
Where are we putting Chris Evans?
he's number one.
Straight in at number 1 for me as well.
Yeah, I loved Chris Evans. Why did you like Chris Evans's cameo in Deadpool and Wolverine?
I thought it was set up so perfectly. Like the joke of him going, he's gonna say it, Avengers, and it's flame on. It's such a funny joke. And then, but also because it was like a completely different like character to we've seen Chris really do, especially in the post-credit scene. With him actually saying what he thought of Emma Corrin's character.
Yeah, Casanova, or Cassandra Nova.
Casanova.
Cassandra Nova. Yeah, I loved it, and also like I'm not ashamed to say this, but I actually had a little bit of goosebumps when that happened.
Yeah.
Right, because like you say it was like funny, but I was like because obviously I know Chris Evans was Human Torch or Johnny Storm,
Storm,
right? And you know that from like just because you know, but watching the movie, it wasn't even in my mind. Like I didn't even think about the fact that he was. I just thought, oh, they put Captain America in it, and like there's a version of Captain America here. Like I was completely sold down the road, and I even was around when those Fantastic Four movies came about. So when it was like Avengers, and he was like flame on, he flew up into the sky and was like on fire. I was like, oh my god, I completely didn't expect that. That's so awesome. It's like. That is like fan service to such a high degree where I was like, I had small goosebumps. I had to like turn to my girlfriend and actually say to her like, he used to play Human Torch in Fantastic Four. She said, the one with Jessica Alba, and she was like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. Because what was so cool about it is like people might not remember. So if you only remember him as like Captain America, who's like very like straight down the line thing, he's actually kind of like the wisecracker in the Fantastic Four movies, and people forget that Chris Evans is very funny.
Yeah.
You know, like he was in like Not Another Teen movie, which he's really funny in. Like that's where I remember the first time I saw him, and I think he probably got Johnny Storm off the back of those kind of movies, because he's like, I'm the funny, a bit kind of crazy, you know, like Lothario Maverick guy. He kind of had a bit of the Downey Jr. Kind of Tony Stark, like, I got the quips, you know. He's got that kind of thing.
But also,
going on.
my God, you're handsome.
So when he turned into the Human Torch, I was like, that's so cool, because I really thought it was just going to be like a variant of Steve Rogers. Yeah.
Him being chained up in that thing, funny. His dialogue's funny. The way he died is so funny. And again, it's just like him going, you know what, I'm just going to have fun with this.
Yeah.
Like, it's the last time I'm ever going to play the Human Torch. Rip all of my flesh off my being.
That
Let's
is
go.
So funny. And like, it caught everyone in the cinema by a surprise. Like, it literally is. I forget what happens, but she's literally like stop talking or something, and she like clicks her fingers, or like does like a little pinching motion with her hand, and all of his skin.
But he still just sort of stood there like,
and it's just all of his organs, and he just like kind of bundles into this like meshy, puddly mix of like flesh and organs. I thought it was so funny.
Boop, your skin's off. Bump it up and up.
It made me laugh so much. Yeah. It actually made me laugh. So I was like, oh my God. It was like, you know, when you're like surprised laugh, you're like, what just happened? Yeah. And like, I just like, because I went from like, oh my God, the Human Torch is back. That's so awesome. I can't believe he's here. And he's like,
you never seen him again.
Yeah,
enjoy.
That was brilliant. Like pulling the rug from underneath the audience's like feet, which is so he's my number one cameo for sure.
And then we got the last one. So so I've got him at number 3. You've got him at number 4. Henry Cavill.
Yes.
What a great cameo again.
Great shout, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was so cool. What an icon. I mean, the guy's played so many iconic roles already. He's played Superman and The Witcher. But the Wolverine one out of nowhere, it's just so cool. And he is like such an awesome looking Wolverine.
If we are going into the world of variants, happily have him do it.
Yeah. Well, but is there some kind of like, because I don't follow like all the conversations online before watching the movies, whatever, and I'm not as deep into it as the Movie Dweeb, of course.
My boy. The movie Deep, if you don't mind.
The movie Deep,
yes.
I was wondering, was there any kind of like talk about him being Wolverine before or something? Like, am I missing something?
Again, it's like he's been speculated a lot. Daniel Radcliffe, the conversation around him playing Wolverine is so, like, those two are like big front runners to do it. So yeah, I guess when it happened, that's a great moment. And again, the jokes of, we're not going to treat you like those shitbags over across the road, like to do that, and for Henry Cavill to go, yeah, no, DC really ruined my entire life by making me lose Superman, and just laughing about it while dressed as Wolverine.
Yeah, like an iconic
fair play
Marvel.
to him.
Yeah,
fair play.
And am I right in saying he did the reload Mission Impossible arm?
Yes, yeah, when he gets his claws out, it does the
yeah. So like in Mission Impossible, there's the bathroom scene where I'm pretty sure he's fighting Tom Cruise actually in this scene. And at one point he like reloads his arms. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure there's a clip in this movie where he's like, when he pulls out the claws, he does the Mission Impossible arm reload, which is so cool.
Either that's like a nice reference, or just like, oh my God, can this man not do anything right properly? Like, is he okay? Like, that's just how he walks. Boop, 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 boop.
That's why he wasn't cast as Wolverine originally. They're like, the guy can't walk, let alone get his claws out. Get him away. Give him to DC. So I feel like there's a really good list of the rankings. I love that we both agreed on Chris Evans.
Number one every day.
Number one. That was awesome. I gotta say, actually, like, first of all, thank you for having me on this. Very, very sweet, because I know you can actually get real celebrities and real, you know, you go from like, I've actually interviewed Daniel Radcliffe and now I'm with you. So I do appreciate that. But also, I have to say, and I know I spoke about it at the start of the podcast, I genuinely don't think there is a film interviewer, a film critic, whatever you want to kind of label yourself as, going around at the moment that's as insightful and as engaging and kind of like just makes these interviews so fun to watch. You're so good at it, man. And like, I wish there was an even larger audience that saw you. Like, I know your TikTok's doing fantastically. Everyone's got to go from there and see your YouTube videos, because you have like 30-minute videos with these actors. And if you want to see an actor let their guard down completely, there's only one interviewer who's doing it well. I mean, I'm sure there's a couple others, but there's only one who does it well as you, and it's you, man. Like you are the man at it. I can't wait to see. Like, I'm gonna follow you all the way until you're on SNL or something, dude. Like
what? And then you'll stop.
And then I'll stop. I'm like too much. He did too well for me. I don't want to see him succeed this much. But you're amazing, man, and I can't wait to see what happens next. I can't wait to see the next person you interview, and I just want to keep watching your stuff forever.
Oh my God, I'd hug you, but I
Don't
feel like
you
we
dare.
wouldn't be able to peel away. We
Yeah,
just
don't you dare.
merge into one Morpheus blob.